murky waters lies the headquarters of the most sinister villains of all time. The Legion of Doom.
Hey everybody, Jake here from the Brave and the Boys, and today we are doing a video that took a lot of work to put together. Today we are going to do a reading order and a quick synopsis of the themes and summaries of DC's entire Dark Crisis event. So the point of this video is to give you guys a little taste of Dark Crisis. I'm going to walk you through the reading order, and I'm going to walk you through what books I think are worth reading, give you a little synopsis of them, and tell you which ones I would personally skip unless you're a completionist, and give you guys kind of a taste, because I think Dark Crisis is something that everybody should check out and formulate their own opinions. So this was an event that had a lot of mixed feelings. A lot of people hated it. A lot of people think it's whatever or it's not that great. I personally think there were actually some pretty cool moments in it, but this point of this video is mostly going to be a reading order because there's no omnibus currently. I first want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Organic Price Books. They did provide this copy of Dark Crisis, so shouts out to them. If you want to pick this book up, you can save $2 using the code Braveboys, or if you want to buy 3 or more, you can use the code Braveboyssit to save 5%. I also want to give a shout out to our Discord. It'll be linked down below if you guys want to join. We talk about, should I buy this? We post photos of Jake's cat. You know, it's a great place to be. And lastly, I want to give a huge shout out. We moved our merch over from Redbubble to Spreadshop. So now they should be linked down below by the time this video comes out. So if you want to support us, you can buy mugs, shirts, tote bags, bookmarks for your books. But for real, guys, I think this video should be a lot of fun, and I want to thank you all for supporting this channel. Let's dive in. So before we get started with the first official book in the reading list, I had to throw in a couple honorable mentions. Now, I'm not going to say you have to read all of these books, and to be honest, it was hard because I was like, well, you should read this and this and this. At the end of the day, you can just read Dark Crisis and enjoy it, or not enjoy it, or hate it, or love it, but there is added context. So off the bat, Crisis on Infinite Earths is something that I think everyone should read, and it adds a lot of context to the story. When Dark Crisis first came out, the first couple issues were just called Dark Crisis, and I think it was issue 3 or 4 that they renamed it to Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. So that tells you a lot about what's going on. There's central characters like the Anti-Monitor and Pariah that come up in this book, that a lot more depth and stuff gets added to them in Dark Crisis. Another book that I'd highly recommend reading is Multiversity. Now, you could sneak in Infinite Crisis and Final Crisis if you wanted to. Multiversity is really going to give you a great deep dive into the Justice Incarnate. A lot of the characters such as Captain Carrot and President Superman are going to be given center stage in this book, so that really helps set the tone. And I feel like, how many times has DC used that image of the multiverse now? In every Crisis event, they use it a bunch in this one, so it really helps map out the multiverse. Lastly, there's Death Metal. Now again, you could do the same thing. You could sneak in Dark Knight's Metal and then Death Metal. You know, there's a 500 books you could sneak into the honorable mention, but I'm going to keep it to just these 3. The reason Death Metal is important is the very first book, Infinite Frontier, Wonder Woman is presented with an offer, and why she's presented that offer is due to the events of Death Metal. So these are the 3 honorable mentions. Now let's dive into the official reading list. First up on the reading list, we have Joshua Williamson's Infinite Frontier. Now, something that I think that's cool that DC does is they've given certain creators such as Jeff Johns with Infinite Crisis or Scott Snyder with Metal and Death Metal, they give them kind of free reign, the keys to the kingdom. They say, here's all of our action figures, go have fun. And Infinite Frontier really set the stage for what Dark Crisis would eventually be. The hard thing about giving you guys a spoiler-free synopsis of Infinite Frontier is it is sandwiched in between 2 massive spoilers. So I'm going to do my best to jump around and not tell you guys anything too crazy. So all I'm going to say is at the end of Death Metal, Wonder Woman levels up and she's got all this crazy power and she's in a really cool place. And because of that, she gets an invitation to meet the Quintessence. The Quintessence is this uber ultra powerful group of like the most powerful deities and powerful figures in DC Comics. So you have the Phantom Stranger, you have the Spectre, you have a Guardian of Oa, and they give Wonder Woman an offer. And before she answers, they show her bits and pieces of the universe and what to give her context for the answer to her decision. And I think some of those moments are really cool because you get to see really cool quieter moments, such as Alan Scott having a great honest heart-to-heart with his children, You have moments like these regular humans in a diner talking about the existence of the multiverse, because since everything that happened in death metal, now regular people are aware of the existence of the multiverse and they're kind of like debating it. And one girl's like, I remember what happened in death metal, and you get a full flashback. I think it's actually really cool because we don't really often get to see how these crazy events impact regular people. There's also cool characters like I'd never read before. Like you have Dr. Bones. He's this like really cool DEO agent, but he's like a skeleton. So I thought that was really fun. But at the end, Wonder Woman gives her answer to their offer, and that leads the Quintessence to meeting Darkseid. Now this just isn't regular Darkseid. This is Overlord Darkseid, who's an amalgamation of all of his previous avatars and future avatars, and he's ultra powerful, and they have a climactic battle, and that sets the stage for the following books, because Darkseid is after something called the Great Darkness. Now let's look at what happens next. Next, you'd want to read Justice League Incarnate. Now I have to say, out of all the books on this list, it's probably my favorite overall book. It was like the building up, it had all these crazy moments, and I just thought it was awesome, and it gave me a lot of hope for what was coming. Before we get any further, I should give a little explanation of who the Justice League Incarnate are for those of you who haven't read Multiversity or don't know. Essentially, the Justice League is your heroes of Earth. The Justice League Incarnate are the multi-dimensional side of that, so they protect not just the world, but the whole multiverse. They have cool characters such as Mary Marvel. You have my favorite character, Captain Carrot. He's like if Superman was a bunny, an animated cartoon bunny, and I think they're a lot of fun. So this book picks up where the last book ended, Darkseid on his quest to find the Great Darkness. In Justice League Incarnate, there's a tear in the multiverse, and this tear in the multiverse is allowing the Great Darkness to seep through. Now, we don't really know what the Great Darkness is at first. We just know that Darkseid wants it. It's this ultra powerful force. So the Justice League Incarnate, along with Flashpoint Batman, Thomas Wayne, go on this mission to try to fix the tear and try to find Barry Allen, who's missing. Can't have a crisis without something bad happening to a Flash, right? So along the way, they go to crazy worlds and they try to stop Darkseid. Now, one of the moments I love in this book is issue 4. Issue 4, I think, is very ambitious. It attempts to tie together a lot of Alan Moore's themes with Grant Morrison themes, and for those of you that don't know, those two do not like each other and they have very different ideas. So the fact that they try to give a cohesive origin story that ties together Grant Morrison's beliefs, Alan Moore's beliefs, tie them together to make all the crises a single story was very ambitious. In the ending, you have Darkseid at this tear meeting this ultra powerful villain. He's like this giant dark demon. He's named the Empty Hand, and they just have this crazy fight. So you have this crazy bombastic fight where at a certain point you're kind of rooting for Darkseid, which I've never done in a book before, is root for Darkseid. And this book leads directly into a very famous event called Death of the Justice League. So let's jump into the next book. Now, if you want to read all of Dark Crisis, you want to collect all 4 of these books. So you have Tales of the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, Worlds Without Justice League, and Young Justice Dark Crisis. Now, if you want my personal opinion, the book sucks. I would not recommend reading it unless you hate yourself and you hate the Young Justice characters. So see, I already narrowed down one of the books and we're down to 3 books. Now I should tell you the order of importance. Obviously, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, if you only buy one, is the one you should buy. It's going to be the event. So this gives you Justice League number 75, Dark Crisis 0, and Dark Crisis 1 through 7. Obviously the most important. Tales from the Dark Crisis is the second most important. The stories range from build-ups such as The Road to Dark Crisis to spin-offs that give more context to the overarching story. And lastly, you get to see some cool other perspectives of the final battle. Then you have Dark Crisis, Worlds Without the Justice League. I would say this is probably the one to skip if you're on a budget, but I think there's some really great stories in here. This deals with the Justice League as they're trapped and imprisoned in these worlds, these alternate realities where they wrestle with what the world would be like if they were the only hero. So there's some really great stories in there. I mean, you have Tom King writing Superman and Superboy, which I love. Then you also have a really cool Batman storyline, and I think it adds a lot of context, but I will say if you're looking for a book that pushes the overall plot forward, definitely the one that you can skip. So now let's dive into what you've all been waiting for, the reading order. So you're going to start out by reading Justice League number 75, which is the famous issue where the Justice League meet their end. Then you're going to read Dark Crisis 0, which was the free comic book day special. Then you're going to jump over to this book and read Road to Dark Crisis. Both Dark Crisis 0 and Road to Dark Crisis really set the stage for the event. Now I will say I loved them setting the stage up for the Dark Crisis. However, the actual event itself kind of left me not as thrilled as I wanted, but I definitely think everyone should read it and formulate their own opinion. After reading Road to Dark Crisis, you're going to jump back over to this one and read Dark Crisis number 1. Now, I actually really like that issue. It deals with Jonathan Kent trying to step up and saying, the world needs a Justice League, and I'm gonna be the new one. Superman runs the Justice League, so I'm gonna be the one to do it. And it's great because you have some characters that are like, oh my god, I'm on board, and other characters that are like, nah dude, you're not Superman, you're not your dad, I'm not gonna be in a Justice League with you. So it's really cool to see him trying to step up. After that is when you could read all of Dark Crisis Young Justice if you wanted to. Again, I'm personally saying skip it, and yes, I did buy the book just so I could throw it dramatically off camera. So after reading Young Justice, Dark Crisis, or skipping it like I suggested, you're going to read Dark Crisis 2 and 3 in this one. 2 and 3 deal with the fallout of what the world would be like without the heroes. And here you have the villains a lot more emboldened. So you have Slade leading a team to attack the Titans. Now that off the bat made me feel kind of funny because I feel like DC has a long history of not treating the Titans very well in crisis events. I will say they get treated better in this one than they do in a lot of the other ones. Dark Crisis 3 is going to show you the fallout of Slade's attack on the Titans. After that, you could jump into all, luckily you don't have to skip around anymore, you could jump into all of Worlds Without Justice League. Now, like I said, I have mixed feelings on some of these storylines. The Superman and Batman ones I love, the Green Lantern one I really like. What's also cool is that you also get little side stories within this of other Justice League's worlds. So again, you can skip this if you want to go back to the main event, but I do think some of them really add context, and I say if you just read a single one of them, you should read the Superman story. An amazing story. I love seeing Superman as a dad. Like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of them aging up Jonathan Kent, but that story gave me a awesome little glimpse into a world that could have been. The other story that I think is really noteworthy is the Batman storyline. So there you have two characters. There's Mr. Wax and there's Knight. There's these two polar sides of who Batman is, one representing Bruce Wayne and one representing Batman, and this post-apocalyptic world, and you get to see the fallout of what happens in that world, and I think it's a really cool storyline. That being said, none of these are really going to push the plot too far forward, and you can skip them if you want to. Now that we finished this, we jump back to Dark Crisis, and you're going to read Dark Crisis on Infinite Earth number 4. In that one, you finally get the plot moving forward, so it really sets the stage. Then you're going to jump over to this one and read Dark Crisis, The Deadly Green, where the heroes meet with the Justice League Dark and enter the Green to try to investigate what's really going on with the Great Darkness. So then you have Dark Crisis number 5 and 6. It's hard to tell you what really happens in those books, but I will say that this is like the Great Darkness is here, no more buildup, everything that we've been waiting for, and I have mixed feelings. I think some moments are really cool, but the problem is things just kept happening so fast. I felt like there wasn't much time to breathe, and I felt like a lot of this book and these books was all plot and no story. After reading 5 and 6, you're going to jump over here and read Dark Crisis, The Dark Army, and Dark Crisis, Warzone. Dark Army deals with what was left of the Justice League Incarnate after their big faithful battle with the Great Darkness. You get some really cool moments with Dr. Light and the Justice League Incarnate, and it really shows you some cool moments. It kind of feels like a fitting into their story. Then you have Warzone. Warzone was a very street level look at what was going on in the war with the Great Darkness. I thought it was kind of cool. Felt like it kind of didn't pace very well. Maybe it was skippable, but I think overall it was okay. After Warzone, you're going to jump back to this book for one last time. You're going to read the final, Dark Crisis number 7, and see how it all ends. And I won't tell you what happens, but I will tell you my thoughts. As much as I felt like this story was all build up and then nothing happened and it was over, I really like where this book set the stage for the DC universe. It is not the final story though. You do get to jump back to this one last time and read Dark Crisis Big Bang. You have the Flash trying to wrap up one last loose end. So he takes Kid Flash on a journey to explore the multiverse, and some of the worlds that you see, I was like, oh my god, did they really do that? And it was really cool. It felt like a huge love letter, and I actually really liked the Big Bang. It was a better ending to this story than I think the Dark Crisis deserved. Now that it's all done, let's jump into my final thoughts. And guys, that was Dark Crisis. If you want to see how to read some of the previous crises, we have this video here of every DC Crisis omnibus ever. And if you want to see how to read the next event, you can check out Jordan's awesome video right here where he breaks down how to read Night Terrors. Guys, I'm really excited to see where DC goes from here. I love that Nightwing and the Titans are taking center stage, and I'm really excited to see where everything is going. Hopefully me saying read this, then this, then this, then this wasn't too jarring. I'm curious how this video is going to turn out, but I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Is Dark Crisis the best Crisis? No. Is it the worst? I gotta be honest, I was able to finish this. I still can't get through my 0-hour omnibus, but I do think it is worth reading. I really love the build-up. I loved Infinite Frontier. I love Justice League Incarnate. I just really think that they didn't stick the landing as well as I would have liked. That being said, I would love for you all to read it and tell me what you guys think. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear why you liked it, why you didn't like it. One of the things I love about comics is we can disagree with each other. We can agree with each other, but I love hearing your guys' thoughts. So if you didn't like this storyline, I want to know why, and I'd love to hear it. If you love this storyline, I would love to know why, and I want to hear it. I loved where this set the new DC status quo. It sets my favorite character, Nightwing, up at a really central point to the DC universe, and I'm so excited to see where they go with it. So again, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to pick this book up, remember you can go to our sponsor, Organic Price Books. You can use the code Braveboys to save $2, or if you're buying this and the 2 spinoffs, you can use the code Braveboyssit to save 5%. I want to give another shout out to our merch. We have t-shirts right down below. And lastly, we do have that Discord. I'd love for you guys to join. We're up to like 40 members. It's awesome. But again, I have to give you guys a huge thanks. You are the best viewers in the world, and I love getting to do this and making videos for you guys. So if you love this video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, subscribe. Tell me what videos you'd like to see in the future. Tell me what your favorite crisis was, what your favorite moment was. And guys, keep reading and stay brave.